Okay, so when you think of Agra, what's the first thing that pops into your head? The Taj Mahal, right? Of course. But what if I told you that hiding in plain sight, right in the middle of the old city's chaos, there's another masterpiece of Mughal architecture? This one tells a totally different story, not of an emperor's love for his wife, but of the immense power and piety of his daughter. To find our story, we have to dive right into the Kanari Bazaar. I want you to just picture this for a second. You've got these narrow lanes just teeming with people. You can hear the constant calls of vendors. You can smell the street food and incense in the air. It's a total sensory overload. This is the vibrant, pulsating heart of old Agra. And believe me, it feels like a whole other world from the quiet, serene gardens of the Taj. And then, rising above all that beautiful chaos, you see it. An enormous, majestic red sandstone mosque. But here's the kicker. This grand congregational mosque, the Jama Masjid of Agra, it wasn't built by an emperor. Nope. It was commissioned by a princess. And that simple fact makes this building one of the most radical statements in the entire Mughal Empire. So, the big question is, who was this woman who could command such a project? Well, let's talk about the patron herself, the formidable Princess Jahanara Begum. Jahanara Begum was the eldest child of Shah Jahan. Yep, the guy who built the Taj Mahal. Now, after her mother Mumtaz Mahal died, Jahanara, at just 17 years old, stepped into her mother's role. She became the first lady, or the Begum Sahiba, of the Mughal Empire. She was intelligent, incredibly wealthy, and politically savvy. You could easily argue she was the most powerful woman of her time. And what's so remarkable here is her agency. This project wasn't just handed to her as a gift. She actively sought it out. The court chronicler tells us she personally requested permission from her father, Shah Jahan, to build this mosque with her own money, driven by a desire for both religious piety and, of course, a lasting legacy. And make no mistake, this was a massive undertaking. Starting in 1643, it took a workforce of 5,000 people 6 full years to complete. This wasn't some minor side project. This was an imperial-scale commission, all funded and overseen by the princess herself. But building this wasn't just an act of faith. For Jahanara, this mosque was a powerful statement. It was her way of carving her identity and her authority into the very stone of the imperial capital. So here's the crucial point. Building gardens or tombs, that was acceptable for royal women. But a grand congregational mosque, a Jama Masjid in the capital city, that was the exclusive domain of male emperors. For Jahanara to undertake this was a radical gender leap, a bold claim to power that was on par with any emperor. And the design itself was a political tool. The mosque was deliberately built on a high platform, raising it above the bustling market. This was a form of ocular politics, making sure her piety, her power, and her presence were physically unmissable to everyone in Agra. And if the scale wasn't enough, she left her name on it, in a big way. The main entrance is decorated with this long Persian inscription. But it doesn't just name her, it profusely eulogizes her. This simply wasn't done. Praising a patron so lavishly, especially a female one on a sacred public monument, was completely unprecedented. Her personal stamp is even visible in the architectural details. Just look at the beautiful pattern on the domes. This striking chevron design of alternating red sandstone and white marble was called the wave design. It's unique among Mughal monuments, and another clear sign of Jahanara's distinct vision. Of course, you can't build something this grand in Agra without inviting comparisons to the city's other great monument. The mosque was in a constant dialogue with her father's masterpiece, the Taj Mahal. The timing here is key. The mosque was built just as the Taj Mahal was being finished. This parallel construction created what historians call hidden symmetries of power. As the emperor was completing his monument, his daughter was raising hers, putting them on a similar architectural and symbolic plane. But they served very different purposes. The Taj is an imperial tomb. It's opulent, ethereal, and set apart from the city. The Jama Masjid is a public mosque. It's sober in its design, and it was built to be the spiritual anchor for the chaotic, everyday life of Agra's citizens. One is otherworldly, the other is deeply grounded in this one. Yet, architecturally, they absolutely speak the same language. Jahanara consciously borrowed from the imperial playbook. You see the same use of red sandstone with white marble, the same prayer mat designs inlaid in the floor, and a prayer niche, or mihrab, that is nearly identical to the one in the Taj Mahal's own mosque. It all links her project to the highest imperial standard. Crucially, this mosque wasn't designed to be some secluded jewel. It was meant to be an integral part of Agra's urban fabric, a part of the city's lifeblood. Inside the mosque's courtyard, there's this profound sense of tranquility. It's a true sanctuary. But just outside its walls, the chaotic energy of the Kinari Bazaar continues at full volume. This contrast was intentional, a space for spiritual retreat right in the middle of the city's commercial heart. Originally, the mosque's connection to imperial power was even more direct. A grand octagonal market square once stood between the mosque and the Agra Fort, the seat of Mughal government. Sadly, this entire connection was demolished by the British in the 1800s to build a railway line, severing the powerful visual link Jahanara had so carefully created. But despite those changes, Jahanara's legacy is not just a historical footnote. It remains vibrant and very much alive today. So, if you're ever planning to visit, it's very accessible. Entry is free, but just remember it is an active place of worship. That means dressing modestly, so cover your shoulders and knees. Ladies, you'll be expected to cover your head, and be prepared to remove your shoes before entering the main prayer hall. And now this part is truly incredible. On Thursday evenings, the women's galleries of the mosque are reserved specifically for women to perform devotional Sufi rituals. This is a direct, living link to Jahanara herself, who is a devout follower of Sufism and even wrote books on the subject. Her spiritual legacy is literally continuing in her mosque, centuries later. So you see, the Jama Masjid of Agra is so much more than just a beautiful building. It's a testament to a princess who refused to be a footnote in her father's story. It makes you wonder, as you look at its magnificent domes, how many of history's great monuments are hiding the stories of forgotten women, just waiting to be told?